talk parts. Yeah, that corner of the dealership most people don't look at until there's a fire. Parts Edge helps you clean up that mess. Smarter inventory, better margins, and no more guessing games. It's like giving your parts manager a crystal ball, except this one actually works. Spiffy. You can manage your mobile appointments, optimize your service routes, track inventory, and process payments, all with Spiffy, and you can learn more at spiffy.com. You ever wish you could inspect every car like a tech with X-ray vision? UVI is like an MRI for your car. UVI doesn't miss a thing. Scans the tires, the underbody, body panels, and wheels for scuffs in seconds, giving your team instant, actionable intel without slowing down the lane. That's not the future. That's UVI, and it's live in stores today.
Welcome to another edition of the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Today, I am joined by the Bridges family. We have Wayne, Elizabeth, and Seth joining us, all who work at Toyota of Puyallup. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us. Good to be here.
Real quick, Wayne, you've been in this business quite a couple of days, right? And when you look back, what kind of convinced you that the dealership world would be your place to build a career?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that real well.
Where did you come up with the point where dealership would be something that you'd be able to build a career out of?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, so I fell in love with cars at a very early age, and I actually determined that I wanted to work on cars at the age of 10 years old.
Wow.
And my dream was to work at a Chevrolet dealership someday. And, I grew up handing wrenches to my dad. I worked on all the kids' bicycles in the neighborhood and kind of graduated to mini bikes and motorcycles. And then, of course, my dad had me do all this grunt work on the cars that he didn't want to do. And just kind of, grew into it. But, right around my junior year in high school, I realized that I was really good at taking things apart and putting them back together, but I had no understanding of any theory of how things worked. And so I wound up getting myself enrolled at the local vocational school my senior year in high school. And so I went into the automotive program there and went through that for a couple of years, 1 year as a high school student, and then 1 year as an adult. And while I was working at going to school, I actually worked at a Kawasaki motorcycle shop. So I was a motorcycle mechanic for a couple of years while I was in school. But right about the time it was time to graduate, I had an opportunity to go to work at a Chevrolet dealership. I was just getting ready to get out of school, and it was like my dream has come true. And and so that's what I did. Once I graduated from school, I went to, actually it was before I graduated from school, I went to work at this Chevrolet dealership. And it was kind of cool because I actually graduated top in my class in my automotive program, and I had really good recommendations. So the service manager, when he hired me, I was the first person out of school that he hired straight to the line to be a technician. Normally, you went to be a lube tech first, and then you worked your way in. But I had such a good recommendation, he put me right on, and that was great for about 6 months. And then figured out that I really didn't have the skills to be a line tech. I didn't know how to work efficiently.
Sure.
Yeah, I could tell them how to do things. I could take things apart, but I wasted a lot of time. And one day he came up to me, and he was fixing my collar, and he goes, "Wayne, this is not working out. So I'm going to put you on the lube rack."
Yeah.
And I slumped. And he goes, "What's the matter, Wayne?" I go, "You're demoting me." He goes, "Yeah. And you have a choice to make right now. You can either accept this as a learning experience, or you'll get cranky and leave, or I'll fire you.
Yeah.
Your choice. And I chose to accept the challenge. And I'll tell you what, getting moved to that lube rack was the best thing that happened to me to teach me how to work efficiently as a technician, because I had to develop a pattern of how to work on a car without wasting time. When I was a
Right.
tech, I'd work on one side of the car for a little while, then I'd go over the other side, work on it for a little while, then I'd bounce back over to the other side and wasted a lot of steps. But when I was on the lube rack, I had to learn how to start in one spot and finish without wasting any effort. And I think that was one of the key moments in me being a successful technician, was getting demoted. So,
I love it. And you are not the only one who's ever had to go through that, right? Where you feel like when you're in a leadership position, you feel like, wow, this person really shows the initiative and really deserves the opportunity. But then you put them there, and in reality, you as the leader putting them in that position put them in a position to fail. And um, so I applaud the person that did that, because in reality they actually saved your career. Because if they left you there, you would have been it would have been a miserable life, and you probably wouldn't have made any money. So
yeah,
um, so
yeah,
so Seth,
exactly. And only,
go ahead.
go ahead. You can move on.
So Seth, you chose to step into the business, or maybe it kind of chose you, which is kind of how it worked for all of us. Was it a natural pull to go into dealership life because of dad, or did you have other ideas of why you wanted to be in the business?
Oh, I had very much other ideas. I spent 7 years as a middle school teacher, teaching history. And frankly, the public education system is collapsing, and I decided to get out before something fell on my head. And yeah, the reason I work at Toyota Puyallup is I did have the connection through my dad, and know, he thought this was a great place to work. He was happy to have his kids come work with him. So I'm like, well, it's got to be all right.
Sure.
And frankly, I couldn't think of anything else I would rather talk about all day. History is my first love, but then cars are kind of a second love. So yeah, the idea of coming and working in the car industry seemed like a natural next step since I was getting out of my previous career. And it has. It's been great. I love working around cars every day. It's fun talking about them and seeing all the new stuff that happens all the time because I work on the new car side. And it's fun working with my dad and my sister.
It's rewarding, I think, both sides, right? So you in the sales side, you get to put people in cars, and then on the service side, we get to keep them in cars, keep it going the right way. Elizabeth, tell me, service is where you ended up. I mean, I have a true love for service. It's all I've done. What brought you to the service side, and I guess also along with that, does it really bring into light what Dad did for all these years as you were growing up?
Yeah, I got into it because I needed a job. And I heard, through that grapevine right there that they were looking for another Toyota Express maintenance advisor. And so I was working in ministry before that, working with teenagers as a young life leader, and it seemed like basically the same skill set. So I applied, got the job, and here I am.
And so, do you see yourself working up the ladder into leadership? I guess both sides. Dad's doing some training, which we'll get into, a little further as we go. But where do you guys see your goals as far as where do you see your career going as time passes here?
Good question. For myself, it's not ever a career that I planned to get into. It was just something, I needed money. Um, so right now I'm pretty content where I'm at. Honestly, I love our express maintenance team. I think we all work really well together, and I'm enjoying kind of I wouldn't say low pressure because there's a lot of pressure on the express maintenance side, but it's giving me a chance to learn and grow without, the intensity of the pressure that gets put on, say, a main shop repair advisor who needs, to know all of the ins and outs of cars that I don't know yet. So right now I'm just kind of chilling. I like where I'm working and I like my coworkers. So
That's a good thing. Seth?
As far as myself, certainly on the sales side, man, the desk managers here, the amount of multitasking they have to do, I'm not sure I quite have the capacity to do something like that. At least not at this point. Maybe I develop into that, and I certainly see myself long term staying in the automotive industry. But one of the great things about working in sales is, you know, you have an opportunity to grow your income and grow, your opportunities without necessarily changing your job. The great thing about sales is it is exactly what you make it.
Yeah.
And I really look forward to that because most of my goals are not specifically career oriented. I'm family oriented. My goal is, the reason I do any of this is in the hope of supporting a family one day. I really hope to homeschool my own children someday. That's my sister and I were both homeschooled. I hope to do the same thing. And so sales gives me that opportunity to really, make plenty of money, but also I can tailor the amount of commitment that I have
Sure.
so that I'm potentially a little more available for my family if I get really good at the job. So
Yeah.
that's the great thing about it. And lots of respect to those sales managers. And who knows, it may end up being something someday. Like actually, our used car manager Josh, the job he does seems like a very cool job that I could see myself potentially having fun with someday. Um, uh, but for right now, sales provides a lot of the things that I want, and it provides you opportunities for growth without having to switch jobs.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. No, I mean, automotive is a funny thing. Once it gets you, it doesn't let you leave. Um,
I've heard
but
that.
yes, but the other good thing about it is that it allows you so many different opportunities to learn so many different things because there's so many different responsibilities within the dealership, and so I mean it fields so many different types of people and different skill levels, and how does everybody come together to make it all work? So I think that's really cool. Hey Wayne, so when you look at the kids' experience now in the positions that they're in. What do you think the industry is getting right about developing people? And where do you think we still need to get better?
All right, we all know about warranty nightmares. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated. If your warranty process still involves sticky notes, tribal knowledge, and late night claims rejections, you're leaving money on the table. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated brings clarity, compliance, and cash flow to your warranty game. They speak fluent OEM, and they've got your back. Hey, I want to encourage you to take a visit over to our partner, Target Automotive, at target.com. That is great until you're drowning in it. Target turns that chaos into clarity with dashboards that actually make sense. Fixed ops leaders finally get what they need: real-time, drill-down insights without the spreadsheet migraines. It's not just business intelligence. It's Target.
Well, you read some of my posts on LinkedIn, so I definitely have an opinion there. There's a lot of things that have have definitely made our jobs better. You know, some of the technology has made our job a lot easier. Uh, since the last time we've talked, my job has shifted a little bit for the previous 2 weeks and probably through the month of January. I'm actually a technician half a day, which I'd never intended that. But I'm back in the shop actually, slinging some wrenches, and that's kind of fun because the last time I was a technician was December of 1992. So getting my hands back in there has been really cool. And what I really appreciate, this is the first chance I've really had to use Tekion. From a technician standpoint, I really appreciate, how as a technician I can get my story in there really well and stuff. Don't have to worry about penmanship and things like that because we've gone completely paperless, and I just think that's really cool. And then the technology for diagnosing cars now has gotten so much better. When I got in the industry, 51 years ago, cars were just getting computers, and you couldn't talk to them. You just had to watch the check engine light blink and count the times it blinked to diagnose anything. And now I can actually control things and do all kinds of cool stuff. So that part of the industry has gotten really good. The place where we still fall down is training and mentoring, and preparing young people in particular for what it's going to take to be successful. And that's one of the things that I think is so cool about Toyota Puyallup, the fact that they have me on board. They hired me to train their technicians, and so I give them actual lecture classes in our conference room with PowerPoint presentations and hands-on little things in the classroom. And then I'm down in the shop with them, helping mentor them along with our, master technicians down there that are mentoring the young guys too. So here at Toyota Puyallup, we're doing things the right way, having a real apprenticeship, mentorship mindset here.
That's awesome. And I think now that you are kind of forced back into wrenching due to necessity, right? That training and everything that you're doing with the technicians up in the conference room, and then they get to see you put it to real world effort. Must really be advancing how they're able to see that, hey, he's not just a book. He's not just saying what he wants to say or what he's read or whatever. He's proving that this is there.
Yeah, exactly.
But more importantly, I think the biggest thing that I take out of this is, when you're talking to different dealers about a new product, i.e., whether it's a new DMS, whether it's a new CRM tool, whether it's whatever it may be, generally speaking, the ones that have been in the business the longest, that's who's everybody is fearful about. Well, how are they going to handle this? Because I don't like technology. I don't like to use my phone. I don't like this. In my experience, I found that the veterans are the easiest ones to get to roll into it. And then the younger ones, like your kids, are the more of the challenge because they, for some reason, all of a sudden don't want to be on their phones that they're on all the time anyway. So, what are your thoughts on is it easier to learn the technology now than as you were originally learning it as they were putting computers in, or do you think are the technologies coming up with enough help to make it so that it's easy to operate?
I think for most of it, it's pretty easy to operate. Some of the operating systems are slow, and that's frustrating for me. Watching the little ball spin, and I want to get something done, but I can't do anything until the ball quits spinning, and that makes me crazy. We've got a reflash that we have to do, a Tundra recall reflash, and it takes an hour and 20 minutes to do, and probably if I had another bay to work in, I could work on another car while
Well,
the
yeah.
thing's doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I just have to sit there and nursemaid it and wait till it does its thing, and that's crazy. It makes me crazy because I'm a mover and a shaker, and sitting still doesn't work real good for me. I
It's not
told
your
the
DNA.
dispatcher today that any of those reflashes, give them to somebody else because I can't take it. Do stuff where I can actually get something done.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're not the only tech who feels that way. That tends to be the way shop technicians are. They don't like sitting around.
Yeah, especially when it's a reflash where they're just waiting on a computer. It's not something that they can change, and they're only getting paid a half an hour to do this thing that's taking an hour and 40 minutes. And like you said, I only have one bay. What am I supposed to do? So Seth, take me around a day in sales. So what do your days look like? How much time are you using service to help get some opportunities? Talk to me about life in the sales side.
Well, one of the really cool things that I love about sales, especially in this dealership, is it's open floor. I've got my shift that I'm scheduled for that I have to cover for, but if I want to come in outside of that time, I absolutely can, and I'm encouraged to do so. For me, on good days, I'm not always this organized, but on good days, I like to show up, 30 minutes to an hour before my shift begins, do phone calls, follow up with customers, reach out to other folks, and maybe do a little bit of training. There's always new things coming out with Toyota, so doing some video training, quizzes, stuff like that. And then we'll have our sales meeting to kick off the shift, and then we're out there, depending on where you arrived, we get put on a rotation based on who got there first. So that's another thing. Early bird truly does get the worm. And usually there's still work for me to do. If I've finished all my follow up, then I'm looking for opportunities. Like one of the things I do as a former teacher, I will. I happen to know kind of when good times for a lot of schools would be to come and visit. So I've done a lot of things where I bring the teachers breakfast on an in-service day and hand out business cards.
Absolutely.
Or I'll call some local business. Like the other day, I saw a truck down in our service lot. They were driving an older Nissan pickup. For some reason, it was down there, and it was some small pest control company. I called them up while I'm waiting for my turn to cover the front door. And I'm just like, hey, who would I talk to around here to talk about opportunities to upgrade your fleet, maybe save some money on maintenance long term? So that's the kind of stuff we're doing. And one of the mantras in the sales world is activity breeds activity. So key thing is just asking yourself, what am I doing right now to sell a car? If I can't be out, in the front of the dealership waiting for a customer, what else can I be doing? Making some phone calls, researching some opportunities. I won't go into detail, but I'm researching a potential opportunity to open up a new avenue of business for the dealership. And I have nothing else to do. That's what I'm spending time on. Then when it's time, we're supposed to have 2 people on the ramp at all times because we're a busy dealership. Toyota Puyallup is actually the number 1 volume Toyota dealer in the Puget Sound region, and we're typically in the top 3 to 5 in the 5-state region.
Oh wow!
So yeah, we sold almost 400 cars last month. We're probably going to sell over 300 cars this month. We're cranking. So they always want to have at least 2 people up on the ramp. We go out there and, we wait for a customer to arrive on the lot. There are some rules about what counts and what doesn't. Like if somebody just drives through and never gets out of their car. Luckily, our dealer is quite generous with the salespeople. There are some dealers where they, if somebody drives onto the lot, they expect you to run out there and lay down in front of
Get
their
them out of the car. Yeah.
Our dealer doesn't do that.
Good.
And yeah, once we get a customer, it's just about figuring out what they really need, and then a lot of it is just holding their hand because they know what they need most of the time when they arrive. It's finding out if we have something that meets those needs, and then really a lot of it's just encouragement that yes, this is a good decision. Let me, you got an instinct that this is a good decision. Let me remind you why.
Why it is. Yeah.
A lot of it comes down to that. And the great thing is I can really focus on that because this dealership, we really do approach things differently. I remember when I first started working here, I saw the motto here. It says customer first. And that's plastered all over the dealership. It's on all of our uniforms, everything. And I asked my general sales manager, okay, I see this slogan all over the place. What does it actually mean? Because I've been in situations where customer first means you'll throw me under the bus every time just to make sure the customer
Yeah.
feels like they're first.
Right.
And my general sales manager, Matt Penrose, he took a second to think about it, and he's like, what it means in practice for us in leadership, we put the customer first by putting our salespeople first. Because we figure if you guys feel like it's easy for you to earn a living here, you will feel like you can put the customer first. That you can back off the pressure and just figure out what they need and if we can figure it out. And I'm like, aha, this is a good place to work because they're not just trumpeting a slogan and then browbeating us to figure out how to do it. They're like, how can we as leadership set
Help
our
do it.
whole system to support that goal?
Love it.
That's good leadership there. And I'm like, I'm in. If you guys want to hire me, I'll work for you.
I love that you're looking for other opportunities and taking your quote unquote downtime and making it uptime because it's going to reward you for sure. So switching back to my comfortability. So Elizabeth, tell me from starting to where you are now, what's changed? What have you learned? What makes it so that you can effectively, do your job and take care of customers every day and leave knowing that you've satisfied them, which then hopefully satisfies you.
Yeah, from the time starting to now, I'm about 2.5 years in now. Almost everything has changed, really.
It's true.
Yeah, we've got, I think there's only me and one other person on the DXM Express maintenance side who are the same people as when I started. And we built a fantastic team up together, and we've got we switched in May actually to a different DMS. Completely changed the way that we work. Like my dad was saying earlier, we've gone completely paperless. So the way that we interact with technicians and stuff has changed. I'm not having to translate technician handwriting that's been dropped in a puddle several times.
Yeah.
Not having to go and chase, like, where's the hard copy? Oh, they left it in the car, So that's really freed me up to be able to spend more time with each customer individually, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a service job. I should be able to have that freedom to be with my customers for the bulk of the time rather than spending a bunch of time doing paperwork or chasing down technicians. And that's made a huge difference there.
Awesome.
So that's made a huge difference in our volume. I remember when I first started, it was like if we had 75 oil change customers in a day, we were like panicking. We're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have like 4-hour wait times. And, now we've got it to where we're serving between 120 to 125-ish oil change customers every day. With the same number of advisors and a few more technicians, but essentially the same manpower. And we've got about probably, I would say, a 45-minute turnaround on average.
That's phenomenal.
And a very high customer satisfaction
And a
rate.
very high customer satisfaction rate. Yeah, I think overall we were this summer third in the nation
Yeah.
on the express maintenance side for
That's
overall satisfaction and excellence, which is saying something because compared to a lot of other dealerships, Toyota dealerships in the country, we've got a very small team, very small facility.
And we're stuck in a very hard to get to place as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's not the easiest place for customers to come, but they're hearing our good reputation, and other people are telling them, "Oh, go to this dealership; they'll take care of you," and so it's been a massive changeover that way, and really positive as well, especially again from that service standpoint, to being able to really take care of my customers and have the time that it takes to like hold their hands and explain everything thoroughly to them and make sure that they're comfortable as they're walking out the door.
That's that's huge. So would you say that this change in technology has made it where, you said that you have a lot more time. That's something that, Wayne, I know you watch my stuff too. It's all about time, right? So getting our technicians back their time, getting our advisors back their time, giving a clear communication to the guest via video or pictures. And so with you reducing that time and then streamlining the process between sales service parts and the technicians. So are all of these 125 clients that are coming in, they're all getting a video inspection and seeing what's going on with their car every time they come in?
Yeah, we don't, the oil change side hasn't started doing video multi-points yet. We're doing photo multi-points with the customers, and we do a video walk around of the vehicle before we start the service.
Yeah.
We're still kind of working up to getting the video multi-points on a regular basis, but they do, I had a situation a couple months ago where I had to tell a customer that their water pump was leaking. And it's like, oh, okay, it's leaking, whatever. I was like, no, really. And my text had, this time they had uploaded a photo for me because I click on the photo and it's like a fountain. I mean, it's just like pure on just water fountain, water falling out of there. I was like, that's a leak.
This one's active.
Yeah, it's like the video saved me 1,000 words. I was just like, hey, your water pump, here it is, like showed them on my
Watch
iPad.
the video.
Yep, here you go. This isn't a situation where you're going to want to just sit on it.
It's a bubbling spring.
Like, let's get this done.
It's a drinking fountain.
Yeah.
I think that's been the biggest thing for me as far as the communication with the guests, because obviously, like your dad, when I started writing, we were on paper, and you would have the little BG droplets of each of the fluids, and the tech would run out with the dirty filters that could have a mouse nest in it or whatever it may be, and that's how we sold. And then we started being able to do an electronic multi-point inspection, but it didn't have pictures or anything else. Then we got pictures, now we have video, but I think all of this is making it that 4 hours down to 45 minutes. That's one, it's a team that's dialed in and everybody working together and using the tools that are available to them. And two, it's a tool that is helping to make that happen. With my team, now at TechWall, I'm looking at things a little differently, right? So the motto for you guys, where the guest comes first, is no different for me. And when I was in the dealership, that's always how it was for me. But it's the same for me in this position now. My team is responsible for whatever dealers that we're working with, but ultimately the responsibility is the guests that they have coming into their stores. So, making sure that everything is streamlined all the way across so that the end result, which is what we're doing with our guests, gets them to continue coming back. Because it's great that a dealership may be happy with you and everything else, but if they're not getting the customers to continually come back and keep the retention, they can't afford to pay for me anymore. And we've done it all for nothing. So having that mindset of the end result is helping retention and making sure that these guests are coming back and they're happy is paramount. So I applaud what you guys are doing for sure. But so Seth, I have to imagine with your service department running as efficiently as they are, it's got to be easier to sell cars when you're talking about a great service department.
It 100% is. So much of return business comes from the service department. And Well, the fact is, we see it with other dealers around our area, other Toyota dealers. You know, we get people, who are told that they have a problem with their car, but it wasn't done in a good customer first way. And so it comes off as just bad news, and they end up here instead of at the other dealer. That rarely happens here because the people have such a good experience. And the most important thing is because our advisors work so hard to spend the time with them, that guest, when they hear bad news, they feel like they're being cared for. And so they want to continue in that chain of care at the same place. And so,
Sure.
like, I've been taken care of at this point in the process. I can safely assume that I'm going to be taken care of in a similar way if I have to go buy a new car. So, when they tell them, like, hey, it's going to cost you, you know, $3, $5, $6,000 to repair your car. Oh, I don't want to spend that. It's very easy for them to make the transition upstairs to say, okay, let's buy our next car from Toyota
Yeah.
Um, and then also, one of the great things is because they are so good, it's very easy and for us to feel good in the service department, in the sales department, to refer them down to the sales department. One of our standard things is, when a customer buys a new Toyota, they get Toyota Care.
Yeah.
2 years of no cost maintenance with it. And so one
Yeah.
of the things that we do is, I will always bring my customer down to the service department, introduce them to my sister if she's available, and and get them set up for that first service appointment. So they just feel like they're just being cared for, and I can feel good about that because I know they're going to get well cared for. If I were at another dealership that had one of those, service departments where they've got massive turnover, bad training, the techs are all cranky, I'd be thinking twice about, if I want them to come back to me and buy their next car from me, maybe I won't encourage them to go to my service department. I don't have to worry about that. They're gonna get taken, great care of down there. So I take them down there, and if they're in, if they are getting their car serviced at this dealership, they're way more likely to buy their next vehicle from us.
Amen.
So it creates this really positive synergy for the dealership where everybody gets lots of great opportunities.
The cycle of life, right? So, and I've been saying now, legacy employees equal legacy customers, right? So, bravo for that. So, Wayne, I have a question here that says, you've led teams, you've trained, built people, and you've built a legacy, but you're still building it, right? This next step of now working on Toyotas after Chevys and motorcycles and everything else. What do you think one lesson that you think these two, no matter how much technology changes the job, what's one lesson that you hope that they carry forward that you've taught them for all your years in our craft?
Well, you have to keep moving forward. That's the key to life. Embracing change, embracing the technology, and keep moving forward. I could be retired. I'll be 69 years old in 2 weeks. But I think this is the coolest time to be in the automotive industry.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the coolest cars, the coolest technology, on all sides of it, and it's an exciting time to be here. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to do it, but as long as I'm having fun and I'm effective, that's what I'm going to do. And I try to bring that infectious enthusiasm, when I'm working with the techs and stuff, whether the old timers in the shop or the apprentices. I try to bring that same enthusiasm, and I think it helps. And since I've been wrenching for the past couple of weeks, it's definitely added another level of credibility to me there because especially the young guys, they can see that the old guys still got it. I worked just a little over 4 hours today, and I flagged 8 hours worth of labor.
Amen.
And so they see that, they see how I move. I move quick. I'm not killing myself, but I don't skid foot around. When I'm on the clock, I'm moving because I want to produce. I want to bust that, break that flat rate and stuff. And
Show them what's possible.
Yeah,
You can double your money if you're good.
yeah. So that's been cool, and like I said, it brings that extra level of credibility, especially the young guys, but even the older guys. So they've been here for a while.
So I guess a question now that you're back in the saddle again. One of the things that I find is how do we get our technicians their time, right? So clearly something's going right if you're doubling the amount of hours produced than on the time that you're here, right? So what do you think the technicians of today, and don't go from what you've learned over all these years, but what do we as leadership and service advisors, and what do we need to do to help technicians be able to really enjoy the job again and not feel like they're always chasing it, and be able to grow our craft back to where it belongs, right? We know we have a technician shortage. There's still so much excitement in what we're doing. How do we make sure that we're getting that going forward?
Well, I think this is kind of a two-part thing. For one thing, when we're talking about the technician shortage in trying to attract people into the industry, we need to make sure that when we're going out and recruiting and stuff, that we're taking that enthusiasm with us. But we also need to be realistic when we're out there talking to those young guys and gals out there, and letting them know that this is a hard industry. Yes, there are technicians making six figures out there, but that's probably going to take at least 5 years and probably closer to 10 years before you reach that level. So it's really important that they know up front, where a lot of the, especially recruiters that are out there, all they spout is, this guy over here made $140,000 last year. Yeah, and the guy working next to him made 60. So being realistic when we're talking to them is going to be crucial. And then we have to do a really good job of training and mentoring those young people. And one of the ways that we do that, and not every dealership necessarily has to have a Wayne Bridges on staff. I would love to see that.
Me too.
But if you have a really solid apprenticeship mentorship program, that can really help. But you have to carefully choose who your mentor is. And it's probably not your top producer in the shop.
Normally it's not. I agree.
It's probably that person that is just really steady, cranking out, 105%, 110%, but they have very few comebacks and they've got good customer service skills and things like that. They're probably the better mentor. And then compensating those mentors in some way, and there's a number of different ways that can be done. It could be salary plus productivity. Before I came here, I actually helped build and run an apprenticeship program here in the state of Washington. And I had shops all around the state. And some of my shops, the way it was set up was the mentor got an extra $2 to $5 an hour. So that was one way it was done. Some of them were put on salary plus commission. Other shops, the mentor got to flag whatever hours the apprentice produced.
Sure.
You know, and the apprentice was on a salary, you know, or hourly wage. So there's different ways, but we have to make it so that the mentor doesn't lose. And too
Right.
often that's what's happening out there. We have these great techs out there, but they can't afford to spend the time with those young people. And you know,
They got to make their living too.
they do, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, here at Toyota Puyallup, our main shop technicians, almost all of them have an apprentice tucked in between them. They don't get extra compensation, but I'm there to take the most of it.
The edge up.
But
Yeah.
this is a really unique place because almost every one of our technicians is willing to give back to those young guys, those young techs, as long as they're not being jerks with their chest puffed out, and they understand that they don't know anything yet. These technicians will bend over backwards to help them.
And the advisors too, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, if we as advisors have something that we need to explain to a customer that we're like, what? We can, go to some of the techs here who worked here for, 40 years. And be like, Rick, what does this mean? How do I explain this in plain English? And they'll walk us through it, which is just fantastic because they have to set down whatever they're doing, to explain that, but they're just happy to do it. That's great.
Well, and if I could chime in on this and as to why that happens, there's two parts to why that is. Because, like, obviously, compensating people who are mentoring others is the obvious way to do it. But yeah, we don't do specific compensation for mentoring here. So the reason why it works, that all these older techs are willing to do that, has two halves to it. One part is what I mentioned earlier about the sales department. Also down in the service department, they've got a pretty darn generous pay plan for those technicians. So they feel like it's pretty easy for them to make their living. So it doesn't feel like a big deal for them to take 5 minutes to talk to
Have somebody else.
stall and say,
Yeah.
hey, well, let me show you. So yeah, it doesn't feel like they're losing as much when they can easily make their living. But then I think almost more important than that is there's a real sense of ownership here. That's another thing. Just from a cultural standpoint, the leadership here genuinely cares about the people, working for them. That's why they try to give generous pay plans so that everybody feels like they can make their living, and they structure things that way. We have a monthly employee appreciation luncheon that the owner here, Carrie, she just puts on out of her pocket. She does a lot of those things to really show that she cares about the people who work here. And so in return, the people who work here care about the dealership.
Yeah.
They want to see the whole dealership grow and prosper. And so that really motivates them to say, yeah, I'll take 5 minutes out of my producing day to mentor somebody so that they can help grow this organization I'm part of.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, culture starts from the top, right? I say, it's the DP down, and you've got to be able to be supported in every level that you're in order to feel that you have value and that you can do the things that you feel are necessary to be able to take care of a guest or a partner in the shop or whatever it may be. And, Wayne, I think you'll be able to speak to this is, some people back when you started got help, and other people you knew those were the people that you stayed away from because they were only out for themselves, right? The best shops that I've been in are just what you guys have. Everybody's willing to make everybody better because, Fixed Ops Mastermind, the motto is, to leave the business better than we found it. You guys are the epitome of that saying. All of you and your teammates, right up through your leader and your owner, it starts there. It sounds like you guys have it dialed in, and you're changing with technology, which is going to make it a little easier for everybody to do those things. But I think with more time, like Elizabeth, you have more time now to spend with the guest, right? But that also means that you have more time when you get stuck to not feel like, hey, I have to rush to go get an answer. I can actually be thorough about this answer, whether it's from dad or somebody else in the shop, and really be able to say, I understand it now. And so I think, when we add technology to things, if it's done properly, we are saving, we're gaining time. We're not moving bodies, eliminating positions. That's not what it's for. It's to make us stronger so that we can make the people around us stronger and be able to give a better level of service to our guests. And you guys are dialing that in. I know, Seth, we've talked a bit outside of of being on the podcast, preparing for it and everything else. And, I remember in one of our previous conversations that you've been taking videos and going out and somebody that's traveling from afar, getting them a video of the car so that there's no miscommunications if there's a ding or a dent or something. So tell me about, how many cars do you think you're selling out of market because of you taking the time to give them that information?
Oh, geez. On a monthly basis, just off of technology, I'm probably selling 3 to 4 cars a month out of market just based on my ability to fully dialogue with the customer and make sure that they've got a real sense of what they're coming here for. Because we have the right merchandise, we have the right culture, we just need to show that to the customer. And beyond the fact that I can show them the goods, I can walk around the car with them, especially like on a used car. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I can show them, and like I will highlight flaws on the car. Like, hey, here's this little dent over the fender, just so you're aware. And the more transparent you are, the more they feel like, yeah, I'm not going to get any nasty surprises if I drive, an hour to get there. Sure, I'll do it. Because you've done a big part, you've taken away a big part of the problem, that they face. But then also another thing about technology that's cool when you work in a place with good culture like ours is we will have opportunities to show what kind of an environment we're in. Like one of the things that we actually ended up having a discussion about this once when we first started doing video follow-up with customers and stuff. There were some videos where people, somebody's taking a video and another salesman pops in behind, like, does goofy things behind. And there was conversation about, like, do we want to, like, give a more professional attitude? And a bunch of us and our general manager agreed, like, no, let them see that this is a fun place where we all get along. This isn't a place where everybody's like, we goof around, we have fun, it's light, it's low pressure. And so we get to show them not only the merchandise, but we get to give them a taste of the environment that they're walking into. And that takes a huge load off of people's minds, especially on the sales side where there's such a reputation of high pressure salesman. We can show them, before they even arrive, like, you guys can take a deep breath and let it be.
I love it. I would say, if you're having fun and you like going to work every day and the teammates around you feel the same way, and you keep seeing the same clients coming back every 4 or 6 months on your side, Seth, every 2 to 3 years, right? Then, and you guys have said it multiple times in this conversation, where your CSI is, where you stand as far as units in operation, all these things. Common sense says that you guys have it dialed in, and because of that, the success just takes care of itself, right? So if you're having fun, you're making money, you don't feel like you're challenged, you're not overworked. I think all of you have kind of said that a little bit in this conversation, that they're fair about the time that you're expected to be here for this amount of time, but you're allowed to do whatever, come in extra if you want to. Those are things that not everybody is doing. So when you guys say that and the customer is first, and it starts with the people being first to be able to take care of the customers, you guys have it dialed in, man. I have to make my way out to Washington. I got to see this thing in operation for sure. But so any closing thoughts on your side, and things that you may want to see happen in 2026 that will make your jobs easier? I want to see Wayne. I want to do this again a year from now, and you still be doing what you're doing because you love it that much. Because I got to be honest with you, the longer you're here, the better our world is. So,
Thank you.
not to make you work too much, man. If you want to retire and enjoy life, you've definitely earned it. But
Yeah.
we need guys like you to stay where we are, and keep growing our field.
Yeah, I hope I'm not doing any wrenching though. So, yeah, I can still crank it out, but I don't want to crank it out 40 hours a week. So,
I don't blame you.
but I did want to, just kind of follow up on what Seth was saying, just about the culture here.
Sure.
I would not be here if I did not think this was a good place and I wasn't having fun. Because I don't have to work.
Right.
But I choose to because it's such a great place, and we're doing really great things. And I guarantee you, I would not have recommended my kids come to work here because I actually
Agreed.
like my kids. And the only reason I recommended it was because I knew this was a good place, and they would be safe, and they could be successful, and they could go as far as they choose to go. So, and that's one of the cool things about this industry. I started out as an apprentice technician, 51 years ago, and I've done basically everything in the automotive industry except work in the parts department.
Wow.
And
How did that get on that then?
yeah, no, too many numbers I have to remember. So, but in this industry, you're limited by what you choose to do.
You choose to bring to it. I agree. Yeah. Amen. Amen. Well, this has been an amazing conversation and fully expected. And I honestly would love to do it again, later in the year or the beginning of next year, just to see what changes you guys make throughout the year. And I really appreciate all the time. And Wayne, keep firing off those LinkedIn messages, man, because your truth is something that people need to hear. So keep bringing it home. But thank you guys so much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you guys on LinkedIn and staying in touch for sure.
Okay, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This is fun.
Appreciate it.